The time is precisely 1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Ramesh Piris and read by Chandima Veerakon. Headlines. The President extends sympathy over flood devastation in Pakistan. The WFP to increase food support programs in Sri Lanka. The telecommunication providers to increase all mobile and broadband charges from tomorrow. The fuel requirement for September and October reviewed. The Ministry of Agriculture says the distribution of urea fertilizer for Yalla season completed. The Department of Registration of Persons has commenced issuing digital birth certificates for babies born in August 2022. The United National Party commemorates its 76th anniversary on Tuesday. The Ella Odyssey luxury train starts another journey. On international news, Pakistan appeals for more aid as flood death toll rises. In sports news, it's Asia Cup news. India and Pakistan will take on each other in the Super 4 round of the Asia Cup cricket tournament. Local stories in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe offered sympathies on the widespread devastation caused by the recent floods in Pakistan and condoled with Prime Minister Sharif Shehbaz on loss of lives. Premier Shehbaz thanked the Sri Lankan president for his compassion and expression of support in these testing times and briefed him on the large-scale destruction caused across Pakistan by unprecedented rainfall, resulting in floods and landslides. He also apprised President Wickremesinghe of the government's well-coordinated humanitarian response, including the establishment of a relief fund in which people in Pakistan and overseas can donate to the flood relief efforts. The two leaders expressed their desire to further strengthen bilateral relations between the two countries in areas of mutual interest. The World Food Programme has acceded to Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena's request for additional support of nutritious food distribution programs targeting children and women, especially pregnant and lactating women. WFP Regional Director for Asia and the Pacific, John Iliff, said the WFP has a genuine partnership with the government of Sri Lanka, and their joint programs such as midday meal for school children and Triposha for nutrition supply are some successful models that other recipient countries could also emulate. Highlighting the importance of a healthy community for a country, the Prime Minister requested the WFP to explore the possibility of increasing assistance to develop cottage industries and microfisheries in the country. The WFP Regional Director said that the grants to Sri Lanka at these difficult times would be further increased by $20 million, taking the total to $60 million. Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara says Sri Lanka fuel requirements for the month of September and October were reviewed on Saturday. In a tweet, the minister said the cargo plans confirmed fuel cargo and the finances needed to secure cargoes were also taken up for review. The meeting, chaired by the Power and Energy Minister, was held with the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation's Commercial and Finance Management last morning. Meanwhile, the refinery requirements of crude oil for the next 2 months were also discussed at the meeting. The United National Party will commemorate its 76th anniversary on Tuesday. Issuing a statement, the UNP said all preparations are underway to commemorate the UNP's 76th anniversary in Colombo. The anniversary celebrations will take place under the patronage of UNP leader President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Sukatadasa Indoor Stadium on Tuesday. Senior party members, public representatives, professionals and trade union members are expected to be part of the event. The UNP was founded on the 6th of September 1946 by Don Stephen Senanayake, who later became the first Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with local stories, The SLBC train running from tourists from Colombo Fort to Badulla has added another journey. Accordingly, the number of weekly journeys of the SLBC has been doubled. Sri Lanka Railways said the decision has been made considering requests made by local and international tourists. The intercity super luxury train between Colombo and Badulla normally runs only on weekends. Deputy General Manager of Railways, Mr. V.S. Polvattage, said that starting from the 8th of September, the train will run from Colombo Fort to Badulla every Thursday morning at 5:30 a.m. On Friday, the train will leave Badulla station at 9:50 a.m. Meanwhile, tickets for the train can be reserved 14 days in advance. LITRO Chairman Mudita Piri said in accordance with the price formula introduced recently, the LITRO Gas Lanka company expects to further reduce the prices of all domestic gas cylinder categories with effect from midnight Monday, the 5th of September. He said the gas price is revised on the 5th of every month using this price formula and considering the fluctuations in the gas prices in the world market. LITRO chairman further said that the company expects to launch its home delivery mobile application immediately, thus facilitating the consumers to purchase gas cylinders online. To conclude the local news, the headlines again. The President extends sympathy over flood devastation in Pakistan. The WFP to increase food support programs in Sri Lanka. The telecommunication providers to increase all mobile and broadband charges from tomorrow. The fuel requirements for September and October reviewed. The Ministry of Agriculture says the distribution of urea fertilizer for yellow season completed. The Department of Registration of Persons has commenced issuing digital birth certificates for babies born in August 2022. The United National Party commemorates its 76th anniversary on Tuesday. The SLBC luxury train starts another journey. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On the main news story, telecommunication providers say that they will increase all mobile and broadband charges by 20% and pay TV by 25% with effect from tomorrow, the 5th of September. It is reported that the tariff increase is due to the depreciation of the rupee as the operating costs have increased. In addition, the value-added tax or VAT rate for related services will also be increased from 12% to 15%. The Telecommunication Regulatory Commission has approved the new charges. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the Department of Registration of Persons has commenced issuing birth certificates in digital format. Registrar General Prabhat Abeyvardhana said that the birth certificate will be issued for the children who were born from the 1st of August 2022. The Registrar General said that the digital birth certificate program will be implemented across the island in the future. He pointed out that the number associated with the baby in the digital birth certificate will be their national identity card number when they are of 15 years of age. The program has been implemented across 6 divisional secretariat divisions, and the Registrar General stated that the certificate will be issued in 2 languages, Sinhala and Tamil or English and Tamil, in order to enable translations. That ends Watchlight. Moving on to the world news, the headlines. Pakistan appeals for more aid as flood death toll rises. Former US President Trump calls FBI search of Mar-a-Lago a travesty of justice. India develops its first cervical cancer vaccine. Pakistan has appealed to the international community for an immense humanitarian response to devastating floods that killed at least 1,265 people. Federal Planning Minister Ashan Iqbal called for an immense humanitarian response for 33 million people affected by monsoon rains that triggered the floods. The request came as planes carried supplies to impoverished country across a humanitarian air bridge. International attention to Pakistan's plight has increased as the number of deaths and homeless have risen. According to initial government estimates, the rain and flooding have caused $10 billion in damage. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has slammed the FBI's raid on his Florida home as a travesty of justice as he made his first public appearance since August 8th search. Addressing supporters at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania on Saturday, Trump said the raid was an egregious abuse of the law that was going to produce a backlash, the likes of which nobody has ever seen. Trump slammed Biden's address as the most vicious, hateful, and divisive speech ever delivered by an American president. The Serum Institute of India, the world's biggest vaccine maker, has developed the country's first cervical cancer shot that will hit the market soon, the company and the government said on Thursday. Cervical cancer is the fourth most common cancer among women globally, with an estimated 604,000 new cases and 342,000 deaths in 2020, according to the World Health Organization. About 90% of the new cases and deaths worldwide occurred in low- and middle-income countries that year. The vaccine will be administered via injection in 2 doses among 9 to 14-year-olds and in 3 doses for those between 15 and 26. And to conclude the world news, the headlines again. Pakistan appeals for more aid as flood death toll rises. Former U.S. President Trump calls FBI search for Mar-a-Lago a travesty of justice. India develops its first cervical cancer vaccine. That ends world news. Over to the development news. The Ministry of Agriculture says that the government has successfully completed the distribution of urea fertilizer brought to Sri Lanka under an Indian loan scheme for the 2022 Yalla season. Sri Lanka received 65,000 metric tons of urea fertilizer under the Indian Loan Assistance Program. The first consignment of 44,000 metric tons was delivered to the country on 9th July. Second consignment of 21,000 metric tons of urea arrived on the 20th of August. Accordingly, as of last Friday, the total amount of paddy cultivated in the country in the Yalla season has increased to 512,000 hectares. That ends development news.
Sports News is brought to you by...
With many values that bind us beyond the transaction, we are Sampath Bank. We present your future.
And on sports news, it's cricket and netball. On cricket news, after not locking horns for almost a year, Pakistan and India take on each other on a cricket pitch for the second time in a week. Last Sunday, India got the better of Pakistan, the former's 8th win against their opponents in 10 T20 internationals. Today, the two teams will meet again at the same venue, this time in the Super 4 round of the Asia Cup 2022 that is taking place in the UAE. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka beat Afghanistan by 4 wickets last night. On the previous Saturday, Sri Lanka were all out for 105 against Afghanistan. Just 7 days later, the very same batters put in a strong all-round performance, this time batting second, to thwart Afghanistan's challenge and complete a 4-wicket win in the first match of the Super 4 round of the 2022 Asia Cup. And in other sports news, it's the Asian Netball Championships. Sri Lanka won the match against the Indian team at the 2022 Asian Netball Championships by 102 to 14 goals. The championship started in Singapore on Saturday. The match between the current Asian netball champions Sri Lanka and the Philippines is due to be held today. The final match of the tournament is due to be held on the 11th of September. Sri Lanka has won the Asian Netball Championships a total of 5 times. That ends Sports News.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSP U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Championing the importance of the insurance industry for the nation and its people and businesses, the Insurance Association of Sri Lanka commemorated Insurance Month under the theme Set Your Sight Far and Near, which denotes that people who avail of insurance do so not only for the future, but also to provide for any sudden crisis. As the apex body of the insurance industry in Sri Lanka, IASL uses this opportunity in the month of September every year to accelerate the awareness and importance of insurance amongst the general public via social media, print publication, seminars, and also through insurance advisors. That ends Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSP U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And on economic news, the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka, the Colombo Stock Exchange and the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka recently signed a memorandum of understanding to encourage and advance non-financial reporting in Sri Lanka. Through the MOU, the 3 institutions aim to capitalize on mutual interest and synergies to jointly deliver awareness on integrated reporting, corporate governance, sustainability, and other environmental, social, and governance focus areas. Furthermore, the MOU also paves the way for broader cooperation on ESG, including dialogue and consultations on driving progressive ESG policies and frameworks. That ends economic news.
LOLC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall gold award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LOLC Finance will continue to innovate with the next generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience.
And finally, we take a look at the weather report. The Department of Meteorology says showers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara Galle and Matra districts. Fairly heavy rainfalls above 50 millimeters may occur at some places in the Sabaragamuwa province and in the Kandy, Nuwara and Kalutara districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur at a few places elsewhere in the evening or at night. Strong winds about 50 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the western slopes of the central hills. General public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. That ends the weather report. And to conclude this bulletin of news, the headlines again. The President extends sympathy over flood devastation in Pakistan. The WFP to increase food support programs in Sri Lanka. The telecommunication providers to increase all mobile and broadband charges from tomorrow. The fuel requirements for September and October reviewed. The Ministry of Agriculture says the distribution of urea fertilizer for yellow season completed. The Department of Registration of Persons has commenced issuing digital birth certificates for babies born in August 2022. The United National Party commemorates its 76th anniversary on Tuesday. The Eller Odyssey luxury train starts another journey. On international news, Pakistan appeals for more aids as flood death toll rises. In sports news, India and Pakistan will take on each other in the Super 4 round of the Asia Cup cricket tournament. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.